Welcome back to Books at Tea Time. Today's tea, you might need to go out into the woods to forage yourself. I would suggest either birch bark tea or some pine needle tea. I'll tell you why in just a second. All right, so now that you've gone out into the woods and you've collected your birch bark or your pine needles and you've made your forest tea, or you haven't because I know that might be difficult. But today I want to talk about Harklights. So if you've got your forest tea, it would go perfectly with this book, Harklights by Tim Tilley. It's a middle grade fantasy. It's not high fantasy, but definitely there are fantastical elements and magic involved. And I will read the little description for you on Goodreads. So this will give you a good idea of what's it about. Wick has always lived in the dark and dreadful Harklights match factory and orphanage. Double terrible. Working tirelessly for greedy old Ma Boogie, he only dreams of escaping until one day a bird drops something impossible and magical at his feet, a tiny baby in an acorn cradle. As midnight chimes, Wick is visited by the Hobbs, miniature protectors of the forest. They're like little people. Grateful for the kindness shown to their stolen child, they offer Wick the chance of a lifetime, escape the Harklights, and begin a new life with them in the wild. And so then he goes off into the woods, and he starts learning about the woods because he's lived most of his, if not all of his life, in this terrible orphanage, and he has to pack matches all day, and then they only get Sunday off, and they never eat anything besides porridge, and it's terrible. And I also think it's set in like the 1800s, but we're not given a date. But if they're using so many matches, it's probably not today. And it's basically they're enslaved to do this work. So also I think child labor laws were really lax. So about in the 1800s, I'm assuming. Oh, and it's somewhere in England, in Britain, because they reference Empire Britannica. But yeah, it's kind of he spends a lot of the time, most of the book, in the forest, and so it has a really good ecological message. It even says, where is it on the front, a charming fairy tale adventure with an endearing ecological message. So they're talking about like he learns about the trees and the forest and nature, and he is training to be a forest keeper who they protect the forest. But of course, there's going to be some drama, and I don't want to give it away, so I'm not going to say any more about it. But if you have a middle grade reader who is interested in nature and the natural world and environmental issues and things like that, this could be a really good one. There's also magic and little people and animals and stuff, so that's really nice. It is a bit dramatic. I don't want to give anything away, but I wouldn't read it to like super young kids. Sometimes I pick up middle grade and I read it to my daughter who's 6 or 5, but I probably wouldn't give it to her until she's like 7, maybe 8, because it could be a little dramatic towards the end. Other than that, I think it's a really nice book. It's a little fast-paced. I felt, not terribly, but like I felt like the author could have dwelled a little bit more on certain issues, took some more time with some conversations, but I think it's actually really good for kids because then they aren't bogged down. Like the pace keeps going pretty fast, so that is a bonus. The next one, also from Tim Tilley, Witchstorm. So Harklights was his first book, Witchstorm was his second book. And that one I actually read first, which is then why I got this one, because I liked his other stuff. So I'll read you Witchstorm. Join a hunt for lost witch treasure in an enchanting adventure story of storms, spells, and the magic of the natural world from best-selling and award-winning author Tim Tilley. Will believes in witches and the stories he's grown up with of magical storm lions, disappearing villages, and secret songs. Most of all, he believes the tales of magical treasure hidden in the fens centuries ago. Treasure that he has to find to solve the mystery of Ma's disappearance. So his mom has disappeared, I think like about a year earlier, and somehow it's connected to these witches and this witch treasure and this history. Then in an eye of a storm, a witch arrives. So witches they use storm clouds to hide themselves flying on their brooms. So if you see like a lone storm cloud in the sky, it's probably witches traveling around. She holds the key. So the witch arrives. She holds the key to finding the lost treasure, a powerful magical stone that can summon storms. But someone else is searching for it too. If it falls into the wrong hands, Will's beloved home could be destroyed, and with it, his chances of ever finding his ma. Join Will in this epic quest filled with riddles, ruined towers, and broomstick chases. Yeah, and so it is a super fun book. Yeah, there's witches, and they're both trying, like, the good people and the bad witches are trying to find this magical stone. And so there's like riddle and magic and mystery and adventure, and it's all mixed up together. And I just thought that it was really well written. It's really interesting. Again, so far, these two books from Tim Tilley that I've read have very strong nature themes, which I really like, instead of it just being like, oh, we're going to go slay a dragon or something. Not that that's bad, but like these like more homebound, I would say, books I think were really nice. And there's magic, but it's not big magic. It's kind of like small everyday magic, which I like that as well. And nature magic. So it's like moving trees and getting things to grow faster and storms brewing and stuff. It's not like I can make a teapot walk, which isn't bad, but it's just a different kind of magic system. And I enjoyed that. So Witchstorm, also really good. I thought Witchstorm was actually better than Harklights. Not that Harklights was bad in any way, shape, or form, but you know, sometimes an author's first book is like, okay, and then the next one they've kind of gotten the kinks out, and so it's even better. So I would definitely recommend to read Harklights first and then Witchstorm, because you might be slightly disappointed in Harklights if you read it after Witchstorm, because I was, but not that it's either of them are bad in any way. They're both very good. They're both perfect for middle grade readers. Witchstorm, I feel like there was even less danger. Okay, so spoiler alert. Someone, Ma Bogey, at the very end, she dies. And it's a little dramatic. And so that's why I'm saying that it's a little scary and that you might not want to read it to younger readers. Okay, spoilers over. Witchstorm doesn't have that, so I would be more inclined to maybe read Witchstorm to a younger child, 6, 7, even 5. It's about friendship, and I really enjoyed that. Yeah, so those are the two books that I wanted to talk about today, both from author Tim Tilley. I really look forward to more of his work. It is really fun and fast-paced and adventurous and nature and all those things, and I just think that it's excellent for kids to read. So, all right, thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you next time at Books at Tea Time.